Ever notice, like, when you're watching sports, like how much it seems to just focus on, like, American athletes?
Yeah, it's like the rest of the world kind of disappears sometimes, doesn't it?
Seriously.
Yeah.
And, like, it's not that American athletes aren't incredible, you know?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's just that there's this whole world of talent out there.
Absolutely.
And, like, one athlete who's really challenging this whole idea, Lucian Tobogo. This guy, he's not just like breaking records as a sprinter from Botswana. He's speaking out against it.
Right, and he's got a platform to do it from.
Exactly. So in this deep dive, we're going to look at why his critique of Netflix's Sprint documentary is sparking such a big conversation.
Yeah, it's a really fascinating case study in media representation, isn't it?
Totally. So Sprints, for those who haven't seen it, it follows like some of the fastest people on the planet.
Yeah.
Like big names, right? We're talking Oblique Seville, Gabby Thomas, Fred Curley.
Dula Lyles.
Oh, yeah. Noah Lyles, Chikari Richardson.
Shelly-Ann Fraser-Price.
Shelly-Ann Fraser-Price. Like the who's who of sprinting.
Yeah, exactly.
Tobogo himself, he even shows up in the second season. But his point is, like, the whole series, it's basically an American show. He even went so far as to say all African athletes deserve an apology.
Wow.
For how it was presented.
That's a pretty bold statement.
Oh, yeah.
And it begs the question, is there like an inherent bias when you focus on athletes from the country where the documentary is produced?
That's a good point. But Tobogo's saying this focus on American athletes in sprint is like a symptom of something bigger.
Yeah, like it's part of a wider pattern.
Exactly. Athletes from certain regions, they don't get that same spotlight.
Exactly. And that kind of media bias, it does have real world consequences. Like if you only ever see athletes from one country dominating coverage, it reinforces this idea that, well, they are the best, they are the ones to watch,
right?
You know, and that can even impact things like sponsorship deals or even how much funding certain athletes get.
And even like whose stories are we getting invested in?
Yeah.
You know, like who are we led to believe are the real stars?
It shapes the whole narrative, doesn't it?
Totally.
Yeah.
So where else do you see this kind of bias playing out, like in sports coverage?
Well, I think a really clear example is football or soccer, I guess, depending on where you're listening from.
Right. Yeah.
But, you know, you constantly see European leagues like prioritized over leagues in, you know, Africa, South America.
Yeah.
Even when the level of play is super comparable.
Oh, absolutely.
And then, you know, even when athletes from those regions, get attention, it's often through this very like specific lens, you know, the underdog, the overcoming adversity narrative.
Well, totally, yeah.
And which, you know, while sometimes true, can get a little reductive.
Yeah, it's like you're only interesting if you fit this certain mold.
Exactly.
Which brings us back to Tobogo. You know, he's not just complaining here. He's backing up his critique with some serious wins.
Oh, absolutely.
This guy, he beat Noah Lyles at the Paris Olympics.
One of the sprint stars.
I know, to become the 200-meter champion.
Oh, the irony is just, it's amazing.
It's almost poetic, right?
It is.
It throws his whole critique into this shark relief.
Yeah, totally.
And it gives his words so much more weight.
Right. It's like he's proving his point on the track and then backing it up off the track, you know?
And to top it all off, he's nominated for World Athlete of the Year.
And Lyles is...
Exactly.
I love it.
It's like you can't ignore this guy. He's forcing the conversation.
Exactly. His success just gives his words power. And it makes you think, like, how many other incredible athletes are out there that we just don't know about?
Right. Just waiting for their shot if they had the same recognition.
Just need that platform.
Exactly. So thinking about all this, you know, what does this mean for us, for the fans? I think Tobogo's story is, it's like a wake-up call. How are we approaching sports media now? Like, are we actively seeking out more diverse voices?
Yeah, you know, are we challenging our own assumptions about who the best athletes are?
Right. And are we questioning whose stories are being highlighted and whose are, like, being left on the sidelines? Something to think about.
Lots to think about.
Yeah, lots to think about.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining me for this deep dive.
It was a pleasure.
And we'll catch you next time for another deep dive.
See ya.